I'm Laura, and today we're going to present on unethical behaviors in education. And we're going to hit two topics today, social media with educators and state testing cheating. Two hot topics right now in the world of education. The first one we're going to talk about is social media. Limestone County has policy you're not supposed to befriend parents, students. If you were friends before you have their child, they typically let that go, but it is something they suggest not doing. We studied two cases where 21 teachers were interviewed, and they thought it was their duty to befriend their students in order to keep an eye on them and make sure that they were not doing inappropriate things online, sort of to save them. And then 11 students were also interviewed in the research, and they said it made them uncomfortable to be befriended by a teacher, especially if the teacher posted on their Facebook or Twitter or any other social media they have. The next problem we have with social media, if you see this little funny, don't you mean you want to learn to tweet, not twerk, Grandma? The kids use so much unknown lingo that we don't always know exactly what it means, and then when we repeat it, it comes across a lot more inappropriate, because typically if you don't know what it means, you've got to look it up on Urban Dictionary. How many of you have looked up something on the Urban Dictionary and seen how inappropriate something was? So it's better for us not to use the lingo with the kids that they're using, because they already think we're old, and this just makes us look older. So the next slide is talking about your right to speech, your First Amendment, your right to speech. There have been several cases done, and one that we studied was with a student who made a Facebook page, a fake profile for a teacher that they did not like. And when they got on this, they had this profile made, they befriended everybody, and then started making comments and just inappropriate things. So when the school system found out about it, they punished the student for making this fake profile at home. This was on a home device. So the parents sued, and saying that it was their freedom to speech, their freedom to say whatever they want, their First Amendment. So in the court case, the court did file in favor of the parents. They felt that there was no threat to the school system, therefore the school system had no right to punish or to be involved with. However, this did not include if the teacher filed suit against the student for defamation or something like that. This study was only for the school system punishing the student for making the fake profile. So because there was no threat of safety or harm to the school, then the court did rule into the parents' favor. So just FYI. Think about that. It's kind of scary. On the next one, courts have determined that school districts have the immediate right to use any social media, and these are just some of the most popular ones. They can use these against the students if there is a threat. And your First Amendment goes out the door when a threat is made. So the school has all rights at that point. If there's a bomb threat, a gun threat, threatening to kill somebody at the school in another way, it's all, your First Amendment goes out the door, and the school system has the right to act immediately, is required to act immediately. Social media rules. Like I said, our county prefers us not to be friends with people on Facebook that are in classes, parents. That's hard, especially if you're friends with the people, so there are some leeway rules, but they do suggest not posting pictures of your students online. Our county does require a release to be signed at the beginning of the school for any kind of online activity anyway. When teachers are using social media, not just teachers, employees, you also have to be considerate of, are you on a school device? They do. You're not allowed, that's why it's blocked. You can't get on Facebook here at If you do things from your school device that could put you in, in not such a good light, they can use that against you as well, including students. If what the student looks up on their home device is their own business, but they do mandate what the students look up on their school devices. So, teachers should realize that when using school devices, we do have the reduced speech. You just can't say whatever you want. They do, even when you're using your personal device, they recommend you not maybe share your political views during a heated, that's kind of the hot topic now, Don't slam Trump or Hillary or whoever on. If you're giving that information out for other people to use against you, and they just advise you keep your opinion to yourself. The next subject we're going to talk about is teaching and cheating. And although we don't really hear about that a lot, it does happen across the nation. Cheating can be defined as any action that violates the rules for administering a test, which is why we have to go through all the what we think is ridiculous paperwork when we're doing state testing. In other states, so we do not see that as often, but because it is seen often in other states, they have created computer-based programs that can identify when they feel like there's cheating going on. There's algorithms and math and all the stuff involved, and they look at previous scores and current scores, and there's a whole mathematical equation that indicates whether you're even suspected of cheating. And the school systems are going to use it. They've started going to use that. If a school system, in a popular case, Rivera versus Community School District 9 in New York, the teacher was accused of cheating and having students turned her in for her giving them answers to tests and asking other kids to change their answers, and it is an immediate termination. The teacher did file suit against the school for wrongful termination, and the courts did rule in the school's favor because they don't take the cheating lightly. It's slowly become more frequent across the country, and more pressure is placed on teachers. Not in Alabama, we do not have incentives for testing scores, however, other school systems do. And this has really increased the amount of cheating when you add a dollar sign to it. I know that several years ago in California, they gave bonuses to teachers who received the highest test scores, and the bonuses were up to $25,000 just for receiving the highest test scores. You can see that this would kind of increase your cheating probably. Teachers who administer the test to their own class are 50% more likely to cheat. Therefore, they've really started changing where you can't even give it to your own class. That way, your test scores are not affecting somebody else's merit pay or something. We haven't gone there. I think we give it to our own classes, but most of them are proctor. But for $25,000, I guess that's people. They changed their minds a little bit. There are serious crimes for cheating. These are just 3 different people in Atlanta that were caught cheating. One received 20 years, one received 7 years, and one had 13 years probation. This was a big Atlanta cheating scandal that was unveiled. Educators cannot plead ignorance in cases where state testing is become an issue. State testing cheating has become an issue. You can't say, well, I was not aware of that. That's why we all go through the training and sign paperwork at the beginning, and that is something that goes on through the entire country. Like I said, in Atlanta, they've had several cases. Different ways of cheat that you can cheat are actually changing the answers yourself, and these are all things that were done in the Atlanta case. changing the answers yourself, circling the room, pointing to the right ones, or skipped marks, asking students to take another look, try again, pre-screening the students, and asking your students that may not score as high to be absent on those days so their test is not counted against them. These were all things brought up into the Atlanta court case. Little side humor. Maybe we can do this to the teachers instead of the students, since it seems to be the teachers have been the ones to start the cheating. Obviously not in Alabama because we are 50th in the nation in 4th grade math, so apparently they're not cheating at all, and if they are, they're not cheating very well. So these are the ethical issues that are covering our nation right now. To be honest, there's not near as much case law to help with this because it has become such a recent issue. So it's a lot of uncharted water, and the courts just make the best decision. And in the future, we go back and look at those decisions. Thank you for watching.